Peace and love, family. Today we're going to talk about how there are numerous representations of the empire and how these comics and movies are illustrated to make us think that the characters and the events are not real. These are real characters being used in movie series such as Wakanda, and these are places represented in America and in certain other parts of the world. So I'm going to share with you my take on what is really going on with the story of Wakanda and the Black Panther series and the Wakanda gods and the Wakanda empire that is being portrayed by those in the movie and comic industry. Be right back after this brief break. So we're talking about the Wakanda um, movie, Black Panther, and also all these other Marvel characters that we now know represent places in America. These movies and these characters represent ancient deities in Kemet. So the thing that I want uh, everyone to know is that what is being represented as a falsehood or just a gimmick is actually real life characters. Wakanda is being represented as just a movie, but you have places in right here in America, several places in America that show and prove that Wakanda has been here for since the beginning of time. And Wakanda represents water. So these are the things that they try to make light of, they try to make a mockery out of, and make us think it's only a movie. They're always trying to cover up the true empire. This story here uh, was written, these events, what they're calling myths and legends of the Great Plains, was written by Catherine Berry Judson in the year 1913. And that's a very significant year because the empire went into interregnum in 1913 from Empire State. Okay, so this mythology written is talking about the Wakanda, the water god. There's a Wakanda Springs. There's a Wakanda in Illinois. There's a Wakanda in Kansas, Nebraska, and all these other places. So here, Marvel is talking about the goddess Bast or Basat. These are all truthful, valid deities that once lived in ancient Kemet. Let me show you, change the slide real quick. They're depicting all of their characters off of real life mythology, real life ancient Kemet deities. The latest one they have is the goddess Bast. The latest one Marvel is using is the goddess Bast, which is Basset. These are the things that get me to wondering why uh, the actors and those involved with putting together the movie Wakanda ended up dead. They probably found out too much. These are all the characters that they are bringing back to the forefront as fictional characters. But these are real deities in the ancient timeline, ancient Kemet. That's it. That's who Marvel is deriving its characters from. These ancient deities. Now they're calling their goddess Bast, which is Bastet. If you study Marvel and the movie Black Panther, you'll know that real life is where they got this characterizations from. Bast, the Panther goddess. Bast, the Panther goddess, is one of the eldest of the Ennead and the primary deity of Wakanda, the daughter of the powerful Egyptian sun god. But they saying it's fictional. See, this is the mind games that those with power over the media can institute onto the masses. They'll take all of the ancient knowledge now under this Marvel character, they're making it seem like it is a fictional character because they don't want you to derive any kind of connection to that and derive and pull power from that because that's where these people in power been getting their powers from, but they want you to believe that it's a myth and it's just a story, it's just a fable. New screen. They want you to believe that these characters are just um, fairy tale, fictional characters, but these are real life characters. So they're saying here that it's a fictional character biography. Bast, the Panther goddess, is one of the eldest of the Ennead and the primary deity of Wakanda, the daughter of a powerful Egyptian sun god, Atum Ra. See, they always change one or two letters in a situation to make it seem like it's theirs and to make light of the actual event and actual true legacy of this entity. So they have cloned everything from the true ancient stories of Kemet. Then they come over here and they put it in as a fictional character and biography for this whole Marvel series. I just want y'all to see how they play games with us and how they try to play games on the mind. So they got us now thinking that all of this is just fiction and it never happened. They making light of the true empire They making light of the true uh, legacy and history of what went down here in America and around the world regarding empires. So now they have added the phrase Empire of Wakanda, the intergalactic empire of Wakanda. So everything is a distraction from the empire to make the masses believe that it is just, a fable, a fairy tale. Empire never existed. Okay. Everything that they are doing, that they have created with all of these games, empire games, comics, everything else, is to cover up the true empire and where it was, which was in America. Have numerous places in America named Wakanda. The spellings vary, but the pronunciation is the exact same. Some are spelled just like this, Wakanda, such as the area in Nebraska. Well, this one is spelled Waconda. But this one in Illinois is, and in Wisconsin is spelled just like Wakanda. There's an area in Illinois. There's an area in Wisconsin, Kansas, Nebraska, all of these different places, and it's always on water. So this one is Wakanda Beach. This one is Wakanda. This one is Wakanda Beach in Menominee, Wisconsin. Then you have another one that's on a lake in Nebraska. The name Wakanda always shows up on water. This is an actual fact. Every place that the name Wakanda shows up, it's always on the body of water. So let me show you what it is saying, the stories about Wakanda and water. So this mythology and folklore, they're claiming that it's folklore. Anytime you see folk or folklore, it is to distract you and make you think it's a falsehood, but it's actual events, timeline events passed down through oral tradition. So this oral tradition deals with the Great Plains, and this was a story written in 1913 by Catherine Berry Judson. And it's talking about the Wakanda or water god. So that's actually what Wakanda means, water god. And everywhere, as I stated, that Wakanda shows up, no matter how it's spelled, is always on the water. Again, so we have a Wakanda beach in Wisconsin. We have a Wakanda lake in Nebraska. It's also called Wakanda Spring. Lake Wakanda is on is in Omaha, Nebraska. Then they have a Wakanda Spring in Sanders County, Nebraska. Let me go to my other slides here. Then they have the Wakanda Springs in Kansas. There's numerous Wakanda Springs. So we know that these stories and these depictions that they have put out are based upon actual places in America. And there's also a Wakanda in Ghana. There's also Wakandas in different parts of the world. And here's various maps on where various Wakandas are, and they're always surrounded by a body of water. So this means that our ancestors named this Wakanda based on the fact that it was on water. So that tells us that these so-called myths and mythologies could be actually true. That Wakanda means water god. So let's go back here. Let me go back to Illinois. There's a Wakanda, Illinois, Lake County. So it's also surrounded by a large body of water. Saying Lake County, Wakanda. See? I have so many slides up here. Hold on 1 second. Let me grab it. There we go. So as you can see, this Wakanda is spelled Wauconda. They have various spellings, but they all are pronounced the same, Wakanda. And they're always near bodies of water. And there's also a story that is called a myth talking about Uh, Wakanda is the water of life. Speaking of this water having some kind of superpowers. So we have one in Illinois. So far, we found one in Nebraska, Wakanda Beach in Wisconsin. They even have a big sign that says Wakanda Beach. Yeah, they have a huge sign. Changing the slide here. They have a huge sign showing you that this is Wakanda Beach or Wakanda Park. So let me find that. Pull that up real quick. Wakanda Park. All of this is in America. All of these places are in America. Wakanda Park. And it also is on water. This is where the beach is. They have a Wakanda Park and they also have a Wakanda Beach right next to each other in Wisconsin. So this is where the movie and Marvel and all of the entertainment industry pulls from. They pull from actual real live events and real live legacy and deities. And the Black Panther is based on these ancient deities. Bastet, these people. Everything is an empire now. They want to distract us from the movement of the resurrection of the empire and the knowledge of an actual empire existing. So they're putting out all of these different movies and shows and games to try to make light of the actual empire that is actually here and out of interregnum. So when you look at all these Marvel characters, just know that they're basing them off of the real thing. And they're even calling it now Wakanda Empire. Wakanda Empire. This is where they going with this. They want to make light of the empire, of the real empire. And these are the ones that are controlling it, are the same ones, the family lines of those who tore down the actual real empire. They would like to. They would like for us to think that it's all a myth. So they want to mix mythology with the truth. So a person sees something about the empire, their cognizance and recollection is going to automatically. This is what they think. This is what those who aim to cover up the real empire think, that it's going to make light of it, and that person is not going to believe it, that it's actually a real empire. Not after they've created all of these movies and games and tried to make light of the whole um, thought of an empire or empires actually being real. So you have now, there's Marvel is talking about intergalactic empire of Wakanda. Every time I see them use this word, I know it's a play behind it. It's a play on words, play on the human psyche, and they've created it in games because they want to hit that audience of younger minds. So this is why we gotta stay awake, and we have to bring back the truth. We have to pull up the bones. We have to pull up the bones, go to the archives and pull up the bones. Jeremiah 1 and 2. You have to be knowledgeable of what's really going on to be able to teach your children the truth about what's really going on. All of this stuff is based on real deities. And this is a whole Wikipedia of Marvel Comics talking about Bast has aliases. Aliases Bastet, Baba, Sidis, Cat God, Cat Goddess, Lady of the East. See that? That Lady of the East, that right there is Messianic symbology. Panther Goddess, Bast, Hathor, Panther Spirit. These people is playing in the spirit realm, and they think, we don't know this. They're drawing on this energy too to thrive and to attract energy and attention to what they're doing. At the same time, making the masses believe that it's not real. See how they mixing truth? They're mixing the true legacies and stories passed down from ancient Kemet. Now they're bringing it back years later, mixing it and convoluting it in with comics and movies and fictional characters. So that would lead the future generations to believe that it's not real. They don't know the fine line between truth and fiction, fiction and nonfiction. They're just trying to blur the human psyche. They're trying to confuse the masses. They're trying to confuse the future generations by saying these things are fictional characters and putting it out there into the media. These are those that are controlling the media, putting all of this misinformation out, convoluted information out, confusing information out. And you have children that watch these movies, read these comic books, and play these games that talk about the empire, that talk about all of these different fictional characters and act in these fictional characters. And unless we tell them what's true and what's not, they're going to live a life of theater. They're going to live a life of falsehoods and not know the truth. This is why it's so important to dig and to find the truth for yourself, find the truth for your family. So these are the fictional characters and the aliases that they're using for this character. And all of this is from the ancient stories of Bastet. So you have Marvel, this cinema entertainment company, putting out this information as fictional characters and changing the names by one or two letters, changing the story just slightly. Now it's just a ball of confusion. If one was to go and look, the youth I'm talking about was to go and look for these characters or pull them up online or wherever, they're going to pull up the ancient deities and then they're going to say, "Oh, this is not real. This is what Marvel. This is something from Marvel. This is what Marvel talks about." They're not going to even think to pull on them for prayer, for power, for anything. And that's what these entities set out to do, to make the power sources seem like it's fake or fiction. So our children can lose that identity or lose that connection to those actual gods and goddesses of ancient Kemet that are in our family line, that are in the indigenous inhabitants' family line. And best believe those that are in power right now are pulling on those deities for power. So we have Wakanda Springs near in a spring. Well, it is a lake in Kansas. These things actually existed right here in America, where the empire has always been. The seat of the empire has always been in America. Now you have Marvel talking about the empire of Wakanda, but they want to make you believe that it's somewhere else. And then we have another Wakanda spelled Waucnd in Illinois. It is too surrounded by water. So the power's in the water, family. Wakanda is said to be the water god, Wakanda. That's where the water god lives. And that's what they're basing those mythological characters off of with Marvel. They got all of these stories from real live folks that left these stories by ancient tradition and oral tradition. And wherever you see this name Wakanda, whatever state is in, whatever country is in, is always surrounded by water. Lake Wakanda, Nebraska. So is this a myth or is it true that Wakanda or water god is something that our ancestors always knew? This was written in 1913. And it is said in many of these ancient writings and mythological writings that the waters of Wakanda have special supernatural powers. Now, that leads me to wonder why most of those involved with the movie Black Panther, including the main actor, ends up dead. Maybe they found something that people don't want them to know about. Chadwick Boseman was on his way to being one of the top A-list actors when Black Panther came out. And a lot of times when these actors don't do what the industry wants them to do, they'll get rid of them. Or if they do things that they don't like or do things they don't want them to do, they'll get rid of them early. And not to mention, these A-list actors have so much, and singers have so much insurance taken out on them by those record labels, music industry execs, entertainment execs, even in large real estate deals. I remember they used to require insurance on your body, on you. I would never get that. Because the minute you stop making them money, this is a game for the elite. This is one of their games that they like to play with people. They have insurance on all of their artists. And when that artist stop producing a certain number, they take them out. When they get to be around the age of 50 or before, you notice they'll take them out and get the insurance money. They're worth more dead. And that's why you need to be careful about the contracts you're signing with these people. And people wonder why uh, these actors and singers all around the age of 50 just start dying one by one. Because these record industries and executives figure they can't make them no more money at the age of 50. How's Michael Jackson going to do a world tour without breaking down? And all of that rehearsing and stuff he was doing, he kept messing up his leg and just wasn't performing to his top optimum level. So what's the next best thing for them to do? They're all about money. See what they did to Whitney Houston? Left her up there in the tub dead and had somebody kill her and still having a party downstairs while she's laying up there dead at a Clive Davis party. That's the wickedness of the owners and executives of the music industry, entertainment industry, modeling, film, all of that. So these are the things that we have to begin to change if we want to see a better life for our youth and we want to be able to depict our own stories in these movies and in our day-to-day viewings that our children are seeing. These are some of the things that have been revealed that we just need to come together and wake up on and start teaching each one. And I'm telling you, the network that has been in place is wicked. They'll make people think anything. They'll put a spin on whatever they want to put a spin on and try to because they control the media, they control the masses, they control what everybody is seeing and hearing. That's why you got to be tuned in to the truth. You got to be tuned in to your greater knowing, because what we have been under, the power structure that we have been under has been put in place to deceive us at every level. And it's all centered around covering up the real empire, the real heirs to the empire, and who really owns the land. Everything is based on the land, family. They don't want you to know what really happened, where the people are really from, and who stole the land, and who is in power right now that stole the land. Their families still controlling things that stole the land. Okay? You talking about the 13 families and their liaisons and their army and their disciples who constantly make efforts to overthrow the people, to overthrow the de jure. If we're talking about the Bilderbergs, the Oransinis, Goldmans, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Cecils, Steinbergs, Habsburgs, Rosenbergs, Morgans, and all of their support families that run the armies and that have been running the military, have been running the U.S. military, have been running all the governments, the Collins family, Palafinici family, Versailles, Rospigliosi. All of these families are now working as a network around the world to still carry out the orders that their forefathers and foremothers left them after they stole the empires of the world. So, this is what I'm noticing. Everything is centered around the real empire and the myth that they're trying to betray of the real empire. The myth that they want us to believe the real empire did not exist. So that's why they're creating all of this fiction. Even the drama series Empire. Remember, we brought the empire out of interregnum in year 2016. Next thing you know, all of these games and shows and fictional characters regarding the empire came forward. Now that I really pay attention, I am astute to the things and the ways of this adversary that will soon be no more. Now they're naming Wakanda Empire. Be careful of what your children are seeing and be careful what you are seeing and to know what the real truth is. Don't get caught up in this fiction. This is what they want us to do. Think that it's, make light of the situation, make light of the empire. This is just the same thing I was just talking about with the games. Game of Thrones, uh, Forge, Empire Games, Age of Empires. Who is this making games and making light of the empire? Who's behind that? That's something we have to ask ourselves. Who's behind all this fiction? And why are they putting so much energy on fictionalizing the empire? That is a good question. So, Wakanda is in several places in America and always on water. Now, let me see. Uh, Wakanda. There's a Wakanda in Ghana. It too is on the beach. So let's see. Let's pull up that one. Wakanda Beach in Ghana. So once again, a Wakanda on the water. Isn't that something? Here are the pictures for Wakanda Beach in Ghana. So let's ask ourselves, this is definitely not a coincidence, is it? That there's Wakandas all over America and presumably all over Africa that all speak about the same legacy and that all are on the water and named Wakanda. How did that happen? I wonder. Wakanda Beach Resort. Let's see where else they have Wakanda Beach. I see some more pictures coming up. Please. But you notice that they want to make light of these actual places and ancient deities that actually existed and calling them fictional characters. This is all done for subliminal reasons, psychological reasons, to take away and distract the true essence of the ancient ones who they are pulling energy from, the ancient ones who they're mimicking, and the actual empire that existed and that still exists to this day. They want to try to make us believe that it's all just a movie. And I think it's very sad that Chadwick Boseman, the main actor, as well as several others that played on the set, are no longer with us. Now, we have to ask ourselves what went on there and why. Maybe they knew too much. Maybe they found out it was real. Maybe they found out some things that the executives and the owners of um, Marvel or whoever didn't want them to know or didn't want them to be able to tell. They didn't want them to be able to live to tell what happened or what they found out and what they learned. And maybe they didn't want to pay them because these are lifelong characters, lifelong movies that made broke box office records, but all of it is based off of the true ancient deities of Kemet, what they call Egypt right now. So one can only wonder why this young actor died so early. But I'm here to tell you that there are people that will kill for the spread of knowledge, the spread of truth that they don't want to get out. There is a real empire that is out of interregnum, and we need to be teaching our children the truth. We need to be teaching them that these games, these movies, these series, these pictures that are being put before us, we need to learn how to protect our eye gate, protect our ear gate, and anytime a large box office movie or a lot of money is being put behind something, just know to search for the truth. This is what I've realized, that everything they put a lot of money behind is to cover up something, or is to sway the thought and the thought process and the minds of the people, like what is going on right now with a lot of gaming and movies and pictures being displayed about the empire. There's just so much out there about the empire because they want you to believe it's not real. They want you to believe it never existed. So, just for a recap, that's all I really wanted to share with you all regarding Wakanda. Wakanda exists several places in America. It exists in Kansas. It exists in Wakanda, Nebraska. It exists in Illinois. These are places of, in our historical timeline, places of worship where our ancestors understood that there was power in the water, and that water is where the water god resides. That water is has super spiritual powers. The same things that they were talking about in Wakanda is actually what our ancestors knew and named these large bodies of water and some lakes and springs. They named them Wakanda. That is the name that our ancestors knew for water god. There's whole stories and oral traditions that have been passed down regarding this, and all of them named their waters Wakanda. So there actually are beaches and springs that people go to and have known throughout the span of time that they can go to and that pull on that spring, that water, that beach for power. And know that all of this fictional characters and movies are all based on the real thing. These are all characters and movies based on real deities, our ancient ones that we pulled on for power. All right, family. That's all I'm going to share regarding Wakanda. There's so much more that I could share. But we're going to leave it at that. Go ahead and take a moment to share this live that will replay after this. And be sure to hit the notification bell for updates and notifications when I go back live again. Peace and love for now, family. Thanks for watching.